Okay, today's review is Tell Me No Lies by Alex Sinclair. This is a Book at Your publication that I did for a blog tour last month, actually, in October. It's a psychological thriller, and I gave it 4 stars. Now, let me read the description. How well do you really know your husband? Grace Dalton is trying to put her life back together after her husband John died suddenly in a hit and run. Her perfect world is collapsing around her. The home she hoped to fill with children is huge and empty, and she's paralyzed with grief. But as Grace sorts through her husband's belongings, she realizes the man she loved was lying to her. There's a mysterious list of names hidden among his things, a secret bank account, and a shocking revelation about his family that he kept from her since the day they met. Who was John Dalton? As Grace tries to identify the names on the list, she realizes something is wrong. She's imagining things, seeing John in the face of strangers, and finding things in an entirely different place to where she left them. Is Grace losing her grasp on reality, or is someone trying to stop her from finding out the truth about her husband? The publisher adds a gripping psychological thriller that will have you questioning everything you think you know. If you enjoyed The Wife Between Us, The Girl on the Train, or Behind Closed Doors, you will love this book. And here are my thoughts. Now, it was the anniversary, the 5th anniversary actually. They're out celebrating their anniversary. They're at dinner. Things are just a wee bit strained, but Grace is still really happy because her and John have had a few issues, and this dinner is going to bring them back together. Well, they're walking back to the car, and John gets a phone call. So he steps away from Grace, and then all of a sudden a speeding car comes, strikes him, kills him, and he's dead. Boom. Now Grace, she becomes overwhelmed with grief. She gets extremely depressed. She struggles to accept the loss of her marriage. I mean, just 5 years. They had no time together. Well, she wants to move on with her life eventually, but then she starts getting strange messages. Now, the story starts to be told in then and now. In the now, Grace is filled with grief, broken, depressed. As a matter of fact, I actually, when I was reading this book, was wondering if the story would change directions. Was it simply going to focus on Grace's grief, or was it going to become more? And actually it did. Now the story started to see what Grace was learning. She found out things about John, that he definitely wasn't the man that she thought he was. And remember, she's getting strange messages at the same time. Messages on phone, messages on the internet. Well, I had a problem when I was writing this review, because we reach a point in the book that anything else that I would say in the review would be severe spoilers. But I just will say this. It had a slow-boiling plot. The characters were believable, but then we see why Grace had to start exploring her own sanity. And I'll say this, it had a shocking conclusion. As a matter of fact, this is one of those books that I reread the last few chapters a second time because the conclusion was so jarring. And it was a pretty good book. I only gave it 4 stars, and I'm pretty sure the reason why that I gave it 4 stars is because of all the angst and grief that Grace went through, and thinking that the book was going to stay on that level. But surprisingly, and in a good way, it lifted up and created a really deep psychological thriller, revealing secrets, lies, notorious activity, and things of that nature. And that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to spoil the book. All right, I hope you check it out. It's Alex Sinclair's Tell Me No Lies. The link will be in the description below, and the written review link will be there as well. All right, thanks.